Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we'll talk about some follow-up questions from my previous video that had to do with what will happen when the Trump administration takes power on January 20th. What are the things that you need to be careful about? What should students do? Should you come to the United States in 2024 for study? Should you apply for your green card as soon as possible? Should you go for the stamping outside of the United States in the consulates? What about the travel? Is there any issue traveling? What are the regulations that the new administration can bring in? What are the things that they can curtail back from the Biden administration policies? And what will happen with the per country cap for the green cards? Will there be any law passed in the Congress, either in the lame duck session or in the new administration? So a lot of packed content, guys. Watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration and lifestyle related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now check out the links in the description because those are affiliate links and that will also support the channel. And while you are down there, don't forget to hit the like button. And by the way, I'm going to do the giveaway announcement to 2 lucky winners by the end of this video. So stay tuned. And also I'll continue to do my new giveaway which will be rolled out towards the end of January. So don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video. Also submit your comment and start a conversation in the comment section below. That will greatly help the community as well as help you find some answers that you're looking for. With that said, let's start the topic. Now, I made a couple of videos in the last month or so, right after the election results were announced. Now, these had to do with some speculations what would happen when the new administration takes power in January, specifically in regards to the employment-based immigration. Now, if you haven't checked those videos out, I'll highly encourage for you to go back and check those videos out first because there are a lot of topics and contents that you might find interesting. Now, those videos had also spurred some questions. Now, those are legitimate concerns. Which are the areas that are expected to be a little bit difficult in the new administration? Not everything that I said in those videos is going to come true, but those are the areas that you can be looking forward to what would happen. Now say for instance 540 days of automatic extensions of EAD. Now this was put through the regulation by the Biden administration in the last couple of years. Now considering the fact that EAD is taking forever to get processed, even the renewals are taking forever to process, 540 days of automatic extension as long as you have applied for EAD at least 6 months before its expiry is a great relief to people, especially when EAD is taking more than a year. Now, will that rule stay because it was just a regulation? It was a regulation process. It is a little bit more stringent than just an executive order. But regardless, if one president can put it in place, other president can take it away. I personally don't think that the new administration is going to take away that 540 days rule. But you never know. Put down in the comment section below what you think about this 540 days of automatic extension for EADs.
And that brings me to the sponsor of today's video. Have you ever done the Google search of your own name? Look what I have found when I did mine. Here's what comes up. While some of this information is relevant, the other makes me uncomfortable that my information is exposed for a sale like this. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, or anybody else who may want to target you. Your full name, email address, home address, your relatives' names, health information, it's all out there. That's why I have been using Aura, sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out request for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. Aura does so much more to protect my information and my family's information from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up, and best of all, I get everything for one affordable price. You may already have 1 or 2 of these tools, but not having Aura is like locking the front door but leaving your back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to my link which is on the screen and in the description and start your free 2 weeks trial. So protect your information, your family, and have a peace of mind. That's Aura.
Now, some people ask me about what are the things that we can expect in H1B. Now, H1B lottery system, there were a couple of changes that were made in the last couple of years, and those were also through regulations, through policy changes. So how they are going to run the lottery, how they are going to eliminate those duplicate petitions and filings, those are the things that were put in through the regulation. Again, it did not went through the Congress. So there may be further changes in terms of how H1Bs are issued. Now, for one, there might be stringent requirements for getting your first H1B or even getting your renewals. Now remember what happened during the last Trump administration is every H1B petition, whether it's the first time petition, whether it's an extension, amendment and so on, it was looked as if it was a fresh petition. It was adjudicated on its own merit. Just because you got an approval previously did not guarantee you an approval for extensions and amendments. So that is something that could come back. So here's what I would suggest. If you have an extension coming up, say your H1B is going to expire in the middle of next year, now is the time to talk to your employer and ask them to do an extension immediately. You can file an extension in premium processing and get it done within the next couple of weeks. So that is something that I would suggest. Now, what if you say that my extension is until 2026 and I don't have any impending extension to be done? I already have like 2 years of extension or even more. In that case, if there is a material change to your application, like you moved, your address has changed, your salary has changed, your title has changed, you might be having to submit an amendment. And when you submit an amendment, you can also submit an extension along with it and get it extended even a little bit further out. So that is another chance for your extension. It's not mandatory. If you have 3 years of extension just received, don't worry about it. You are good. But if you have your visa expiring in the next year or so, I would say go ahead and do an extension. Now, there might be some definition changes in the specialty occupation. Now, there might be some stringent requirements how your company would establish that they are hiring a specialty occupation for an H1B. So there might be more paperwork on your employer perspective. There might be more paperwork on how they will be able to give you the salary that is prescribed as per the LCA. And there might be site visits for people who are working in the third party organization, such as you are working on a project but not for your company, but you are contracted out to an end client. In those cases, there might be site visits happening again. Now, another thing is there might be an increase in the number of rejections. And this is something that I had covered in my previous videos as well. There might also be some lesser extensions in the sense that you might only get extension for 6 months or a year or so on. So those things were usually challenged by the lawyers and they were able to get the full extension, full duration of extensions in the past. But not everybody is willing to pay that extra fees to the lawyer to fight out with the USCIS. So that is something to keep in mind. And then expect some changes even in the lottery system. Now, Biden administration put in the stringent requirements to capture people who are doing multiple filings, but the new administration might even change it further. So expect those kind of things to happen. Now, travel ban. Now, last time around, they did a travel ban for specific countries. They might do this again. It was for a specific purpose because it was even before COVID, they wanted to put that travel ban in place for specific reasons. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to happen on day one, but that is something that we can expect as well. Now, during that travel ban, there were 2 travel bans. One was for specific countries that was put in place really quickly when the administration came in. And then they halted letting H1 or L1 people come into the United States. So that was for a specific period as well. Now, it could be challenged again. All of these rules could be challenged in the court and it could be slowed down, but that is something also that we can expect. H1 and L1 travel ban was specifically around the COVID scenario, so that scenario does not exist today. So I'll be a little surprised if they bring it back again this time around. Now, many people have asked me in the last couple of weeks is changing job going to be okay during this time? And here's my opinion. If you have a clear petition for your H1B, if your H1B is valid, your I-94 is valid, and if you have a new employer that is willing to transfer your H1B, then there is no problem in changing the job, in my opinion. So this is the H1B scenario. Just make sure that you file for your transfer before the 60 days is over. Now, some people have also asked that you get the actual approval notice in your hand before starting the new job. From my perspective, that is not really necessary, because anyways, most of you are going to file in premium processing and you'll get your approval notice pretty soon. And you usually tend to take couple of weeks in between the jobs, so that should be fine. Now, also, if you are on I-485 adjustment of status, if you have been pending for more than 6 months, I also don't see any problem in changing the job as long as the new job is in the similar job classification. So you just have to make sure that you file for a supplement J once you join the new job. So from my perspective, I don't think there is any issue changing of the job. The only thing you have to worry about is if you have an I-140 approved and if your date has never been current, so if you are not in adjustment of status, understand that when you change your employer at this point of time without being in the adjustment of status, your new employer will need to submit your new PERM application. That is something you should keep in mind. So all of a sudden, if your dates become current and you are not in the position to submit your 485, that happens with a lot of people. Just because they changed the job, now they are going through the PERM application again and they missed out on this period when they can submit their 485. From my perspective, retrogression should not be happening in the near future, but you never know. Now, another thing that people have asked me is, what can we expect in terms of processing time? And I can tell you that processing time could get delayed even further. So now if you look at the USCIS website for processing times, they are already so delayed and there might be further delayed. For example, they might reintroduce the fingerprinting for even H4. That was not the case before. Now they might bring it back to force people on H4 and even children to go through the fingerprinting. Now that delays the process of extension for H4 and H4 EADs. Another instance is they might bring back mandatory interviews for everybody in the EB category, just like they do for the family-based section. So I'm talking about green card interviews. These happen for very few people at this point of time in employment-based section, but they might bring that policy back to have everybody go through an interview, even in employment-based section. So that could cause further delays in your green card application. Now, there is an important topic that people have asked me to cover in this video, and that is about, are there going to be any immigration laws that will be passed by the new administration? Now, let's first talk about the lame duck session. Now, lame duck session is still in progress. It's still going to happen in the month of December and January. So there is an opportunity that the current administration might try to pass some immigration reform bills, but that, in my opinion, will not include removal of per country cap. That is a bigger thing to pass in the lame duck session. It will need 60 votes in the Senate and a lot of support in the House as well to pass. So that is not something that I am expecting in the lame duck session. Now, could it get passed in the new administration? It's possible, because Trump administration is not against legal immigration or employment-based immigration, in my opinion. Yes, they will make the process harder and slow it down a little bit further, but that's about it. They are not against it. Now, but if there is enough support for a per country cap removal, it might get passed, because all three branches of the government are kind of leaning towards the same conservative approach. And there is a trifecta government, House, Senate, and the White House. So there is a possibility of significant immigration reform bills getting passed on their own with 60 votes in the Senate if there is enough support. Now, removal of per country cap, as much as you would think that it is a fair thing to do, think about it this way. There is only one set of community that is advocating for them, and that is backlog community, which is India and maybe China. The rest of the world will not benefit one single thing from that thing. I'm just talking practical points here. So as much as you think that there might be a great support for that, it will be an uphill battle to convince people that this is good and this is fair for everybody, because it will all depend on different perspective. If per country cap is removed, most if not all green cards for the foreseeable future in the next several years will go exclusively to Indian citizens. Now, will that be acceptable for the rest of the world, and will that be acceptable to the rest of the senators, and will that be acceptable to the lobbyists who are against it? So that is the real question. So think about it. There may be piecemeal immigration deals that will be done in the new administration, and I have no doubt about it. Per country cap removal, I am still a little bit skeptical about. I only cover this point because people has asked me to cover it, and these are only my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it and what should happen and what should we do to support this effort. Now, and another thing that I wanted to point out, and this might be the most significant impact for everybody who is on visa in the United States, that is travel for stamping. And stamping, or for that matter anything to do with the consulates or appointments at consulates, are going to be a little bit of a tricky situation, and you need to know about it. The reason I'm saying this is because restrictions can easily be put at the consulates. It's hard to put restrictions or change laws or things within the United States. But at consulates, the Department of State can just put an alert or policy change, and there might not be much of a challenge to it because you are already outside the United States. You're trying to go to the consulate to get your visa stamped or get it for stamped for the first time, and so on. And that is kind of going to get tricky. Now, if you have a clear case, you may not need to be worried about, but there is always a chance for that administrative processing 221G, which is a dreaded thing. Anybody who has gone through that process will know it is kind of a situation where you are putting an administrative status and it could take weeks or even months. So that is a reality that I'm not saying that happens with a lot of people. Only a handful of people that I know have gone through that trouble. So that is something to keep in mind. If you can get your visa stamped from Canada or Mexico or somewhere else, you could do so, but make sure that you have visa for that country to stay a little longer, just in case you get the administrative processing. That is the most important real impact that you can expect in the new year. Now, I wanted to cover a couple of questions that have come in. Now this question has to do with whether it's okay to go and do your visa stamping in Mexico or in Canada. I would say there is no problem. Just check if the dates are available and just check if you have a visa to go to Canada or Mexico. Because if you have an approved petition, technically you can go to Canada and come back within 30 days. But if the stay is longer, if it's going to take longer for you to get your stamped passport, then you will need a visa. Same applies to Mexico as well. So check those policies, but I don't think there is any problem in going to Canada or Mexico to get your visa stamped. Now, another important question related to the same point, and which is what I'm saying will be the biggest impact, is what if you go to India for stamping and you are stuck there? Are there any other options? The only options are to keep following up with the consulate, keep following with the visa office to see what's the status. What is it that they are waiting for? Is there any inquiry? Is there any more documentation that you can proactively submit that will avoid getting you into that administrative processing? Once you're outside the country, once your passport is submitted for stamping at the consulate, there is not much you can do to speed up that. What I would suggest is make sure that you have all the documentation submitted initially itself, so that they don't have any reason to delay your case. So go through every consulate. Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi has different requirement. They may be 90% similar, but there are some 10% differences where those local consulates have some additional documentation required. So read those carefully and give every piece of documentation that is stated on those consulates website. So you have one less reason to give to the visa officer to delay your stamping. So that would be my recommendation. Now, there are a couple of questions on what kind of visas will be affected at the stamping at the consulates. My speculation is the work visas will be given priorities and the visitor visas and other visas will be given lesser priority. So if you can have your appointments done that are scheduled for visitor visas such as B1, B2 before the new administration comes in, that will be great in my opinion. Not to say that they are not going to give them later on either. There might just be a longer wait in my opinion. Now, before I close, I want to remind that only 21% of my viewers are my subscribers. 79% of my viewers are not my subscribers. So if you can take a moment to subscribe to my channel, that will greatly help. Also, that will put you into the next giveaway in January. So on that topic, now I want to announce the giveaway winners for the Anker wallet and for this Nomad Apple Watch band. And here are the winners. For the Nomad Apple Watch band, the winner is Jitendra Raval 1956. That's your YouTube ID. So congrats Jitendra. And for the Anker wallet, the winner is KK-MD. That's your YouTube handle. So both of you, Jitendra and KK, if you can contact me on my email with your name and address where to send your gifts, I'll do so right away. Contact me in the next 7 days and I'll be happy to send you your gifts. Congratulations to both of you once more. And for the rest of you, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe and comment on my channel so that you will be entered into the next giveaway, which will be announced by the end of January. Also, if you have any questions for me or if you want to know what I would do if I were in your situation, do contact me on my Calendly. You can set up a 30 minutes call with me via Calendly. And also sign up for my next EB1A masterclass, which will happen towards the end of December. And last point I wanted to cover is for the students. I talked about whether you should come to the United States in 2024 for studies. Now, knowing the realities on the ground, knowing the backlog of the green cards on the ground, you should really consider this. If your main objective is to get a good degree or learn from the US university and then go back and do your business anywhere in the world, then you are doing the right thing. Then I don't see any problem for you to come in 2024 even to study in the United States. Get your diploma, degree, get your PhD, masters, whatever it is, and move on to the greater things and doing your career, not necessarily in the US. But if your main objective is to settle in the United States and get a pathway through the student visa, know that this is going to be an incredibly hard pathway, because after student visa you will need to get OPT and during that OPT period, even if you are in the STEM, the 3 years OPT, you'll need to get a green card. You'll need to get your H1B, which is through a lottery system. And even after you get your H1B, you'll need to go through the grueling process of wait period for Indian citizens to get your green card. So that could be decades away and even further for getting your citizenship. So keep that in mind before making a decision. Contact me through Calendly if you need more information on this topic. So I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you in the next one.